2015 BMW F 700 GS. Beamer's F700 GS replaced the 650 version back in 12, and the line is still going strong as we move into the 17 Mi. This year, the factory threw on a number of substantial upgrades that increases the value a bit to help it compete in an ever more crowded market. Adventure bikes are fairly ubiquitous nowadays, and I think almost everyone but the American manufacturers are making something in that vein, so it's important to stay on the cutting edge as the adventure bike segment continues to mature. Today I'm going to take a good look at the 17 model and try to gauge how well Beamer has done toward this end. Continue reading for my review of the BMW F 700 GS. Adventure bikes have definitely settled onto a particular mold, and this ride fits right in. We have a standard front fender and a bird's beak fairing leading the way with a minimal fly screen that provides more protection for the newly redesigned instrument cluster than the rider, to be honest. Asymmetrical high and low beam headlights break up the front end a little bit, and give the ride a decidedly European vibe that I kind of like. Cheek fairings house the radiator and channel cooling air through the ride while protecting it from the sides. Typical adventure bike fly lines carry on from there over the slight fuel tank bump before the steep drop to the bench seat. A slight rise at the ass-end finishes the ride with a modest P-pad and grab rail for off-the-floor, two-up capability. Below the tank and behind the fairing, the exposed trellis frame adds a bit of a naked vibe that fits well with the overall look while adding yet another flavor to the mix. Though marketed as an all-road adventure bike with an emphasis on blacktop capabilities, this ride can serve in another role, that of an urban commuter. Hard panniers and a soft tank bag are available through the accessories catalog to provide for some carrying capacity, and of course, the unoccupied pillion seat makes a handy cargo area, especially with the grab rail right there to hook your bungee net. Other small storage devices such as luggage and tool rolls are also available, so you can easily set up the F700 GS for the commute to school or office with plenty of room for your doodads. Folks like to market rides like this as adventure, tour bikes, but truth to tell, most will never see the brown, and few will actually be used to tour, so this is really a commuter bike at its core. If you do decide to take a trip, BMW offers a number of navigator, chart plotter devices that provide touchscreen operation and GPS accuracy for convenient routing and navigation. The plainly visible trellis frame comes made up of tubular steel members for a stiff but light assembly that adds a bit to the cool factor where it peeks out from under the cowling. A beam-style, two-side swing arm finishes the bones in cast aluminum to keep unsprung weight low. The 26-degree rake angle pushes the wheelbase out to 61.5 inches with 3.7 inches of trail for an agile ride character. I'm a little disappointed with the front suspension. It runs standard, 41 mm, right way up forks with nothing at all in the way of adjustment. The central mount monoshock springs the swing arm with adjustable spring preload and rebound damping, so the suspension isn't complete vanilla, but I know that BMW has much better suspension on the top shelf, they just aren't sharing it here. A 19-inch rim mounts the front hoop with a 17-inch rim for the rear, and they're made of cast aluminum in another effort to keep unsprung weight as low as possible. Suspension travel is generous with 6.7 inches at the front axle and 6.5 inches at the rear, plenty for the grittiest urban environs or poorly maintained back roads, and even enough to negotiate light terrain. Twin piston calipers bite the dual 300mm front brake discs, with a single pot caliper to bind the 265mm disc in back. Beamer uses its proprietary ABS that provides overwatch to prevent wheel lockup due to overbraking, but can be turned off if you don't want such electronic hand-holding. Unladen seat height is average at 32.3 inches tall, but Beamer offers a number of seat options that can boost that up to 33.9 inches or pull it down to 30.1 inches for a wide range of body types. A water-cooled, parallel twin mill provides the power here, and the electronic engine controls are the stars of the updated features for this year, but first I want to look at the nuts and bolts of the thing. Over square, the 82mm bore and 75.6mm stroke gives us a 798cc displacement with a warm, 12:1 compression ratio. Dual overhead cams time the 4 valve heads, and electronic fuel injection manages the induction with a little help from the all-new ride-by-wire throttle control that eliminates cables in favor of wires for precise adjustments. This also enables the ride mode function that lets the rider choose between the road and rain power delivery profiles, another nice bit of wiggle room for personal preferences. A multi-plate wet clutch couples engine power to the 6-speed gearbox, and a simple but tough chain drive makes the final connection to the rear wheel. As with the front forks, I'm a little disappointed at the lack of a slipper clutch here. I mean, even if you aren't worried about wheel hop on hard decelerations, it's nice to have an easier pull at the left lever. The performance figures are what you would expect from Beamer. At 7,300 revolutions per minute, the plant cranks out 75 ponies with 57 pound-feet of torque that comes on at 5,300 revolutions per minute. This gives us a top speed of 119 miles per hour, and 60 miles per gallon at 55 miles per hour, excellent numbers for a commuter or long-distance, highway tripper, with enough power to put a smile on your face when you get twisty with it. Beamer is being a bit stingy with the pricing information so far, but the last 2 years saw the price hover just a hair below the $10,000 mark, and I expect this year may see it actually cross the line, if only by a small margin. The middle of the adventure bike range is well populated, and I had no shortage of competitors to consider. After sifting through the pile, I settled on a couple of similar rides from Japan, namely the Kawasaki Versys and Honda NC700X. One doesn't have to look for a label. It's plain at a glance from where each of these bikes come. The Euro and Asian DNA offers quite a bit of contrast, but as always, looks are very subjective and so I leave you to judge that quality. As for me, I think the Beamer is better looking by far. I have to give credit where it's due, at least both of the Japanese bikes come with a windshield that look like they will actually provide some protection, unlike the Beamer with its near vestigial fly screen. BMW runs the biggest mill of the three with 798cc against Honda's 670cc mill and the 649cc from Kai. Small surprise that the power numbers lean in favor of the Bavarian. At 75 ponies and 57 pounds, the Beamer easily outpulls the Kai's 60 horsepower and 42 pound-feet of torque, and the 47 horsepower and 44 pounds from the Honda. Sports fans, that's more of a power difference than can be conveniently explained away with displacement, especially against the Honda's numbers. Suspension is pretty vanilla across the board, but Kai gets points for using forks with adjustable rebound and preload. Kai also boasts 5.9 inches of travel up front and 5.7 inches in back, more than the 5.4-5.9 from the NC700X, but still shy of the 6.7-6.5 Beamer boasts. Kai and BMW both offer ABS as part of the standard package, but Honda bundles the ABS with its DCT automatic transmission feature that will set you back $600 more than the stock $7,699 MSRP. Kawasaki comes in second with an $8,099 sticker. Quality, but not necessarily bargain basement prices, is what one expects from BMW, so the $10,000 sticker is no surprise, and for me, not a deal breaker at all. But then, I'm not shopping for an adventure bike on a budget. Love the look, and especially the winking robot headlight arrangement, plus the red frame on the white model that adds a sort of raw, industrial look to the bike. Very pragmatic, and very Beamer if you ask me. A little surprised at the lack of adjustable, forks, but I understand such features drive up prices, something BMW is already struggling to keep down. All in all, one of the better midsize adventures out there today. My wife and fellow motorcycle rider, Alan Hinton, says, this is the adventure version of its sibling the F700R Roadster. With greater suspension travel and switchable ABS, among other little niceties, this bike falls into the adventure category, but I have to say that it would make a spiffy commuter as well. I'm not a fan of the bird's beak fairing, but if I'm sitting on it, I'm not looking at it,